Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. So in this video I'm going to guide you through making the most robust and modern C++ DirectX graphics development project you can ever find. Alright, so we're going to be using CLion for our IDE, we're going to be using Visual Studio MSVC for our compiler and build tools, we're going to be using CMake for our build generation, and we're going to be using Vcpkg for our package management for C++, of course. I'm going to show you how to set it up for DirectX 12 and DirectX 11. We're going to be using the official Microsoft templates because they're very battle tested. There's just a lot of boilerplate and there's a lot of edge cases that even professionals miss. So these templates are basically made by like Microsoft employees, like even Xbox developers and so on, so they should be very good. All right, let's get going, man. So the first thing is the prerequisites. What you're gonna need, first of all, you're gonna need Git. Okay, make sure you have Git installed, right? Make sure you have in the downloads here. Just click Windows and install Git. That's the first thing. Second thing, you're gonna need a Visual Studio build tools if you don't have it already, or Visual Studio, one of these. If you don't want Visual Studio and you just want the build tools, then just go to this page, go down here to tools for Visual Studio, then go down here into download here for build tools for Visual Studio. As you can see, Microsoft have hidden it very well, so you're forced to kind of just like download their own IDE if you're a newbie. But anyways, so that's pretty much it for Visual Studio build tools. Great. So now we have a compiler and we have Git for our cloning stuff. Cool. Next up, you may also need 7-zip if you don't have a way to extract like archives and so on. Other than that, what you're also gonna need is CLion. All right, so you could go ahead and look for Toolbox, JetBrains Toolbox, right, and just install this guy. Right after that, you're gonna get this guy right here, and then you can install CLion from this page right here. Okay, so I already got it installed, as you can see. Great. Another tip that I could give you is to create a dev drive, right? Set up a dev drive. And there we go, just read through this. This is very fast file system. This is a new feature of Windows 11 pretty much. Now for me, for example, I have one NVMe. I do have like 2 disks, but I have one NVMe, which is this guy right here. Well, in fact, it's both, but yeah. So what I've done basically, I've gone to partition, create and format hard disk partitions, and then basically I took my C drive and then I said shrink volume, right? And then I told it to shrink by 52,000. So here I said 52,000 and then it shrunk my volume. Now I do have another like disk that is not used, but it's not an NVMe, which is not as fast. So I just shrunk the C drive, and then I made my REFS like file system here, so my dev drive. So after you shrunk it, you could go ahead and look for dev drive, create a dev drive, and then you could say create dev drive, and then you could select your new 50 gigabyte disk. So you need at least 50 gigabyte for this to work. And then you're gonna basically have this beautiful dev drive here that you could use for whatever you want. Okay, cool. So this is very, very fast, comparable to Linux ext4 file system and so on. So right now we have all the tools we need. Another thing is that we're gonna be running a PowerShell script. So make sure you set the execution policy, but I'm gonna show you that in a second. Anyways, now let's look for Visual Studio templates, right? Of course, for DirectX. Well, DirectX VS templates. You're gonna find a link down in the description below. So you're just gonna copy this and you're gonna come to a terminal. And then what you're gonna basically do is, well, in fact, make sure you are in as a like, I'm just gonna say terminal, right click, run as administrator, yes, because I need to change the execution policy essentially. But let me just try it without it and see what's gonna happen. Okay, so let's say cd d to my D drive, right? And then I'm gonna say git clone. By the way, after you install Git, for example, make sure to actually restart your terminal if you had it already open. Otherwise, you wouldn't find Git. So right now, I'm just going to say git clone. And it should be way faster to get to, but yeah. Now let's go inside of DirectX VS Templates. And here we have all these files. Great. So we're going to go to VSIX folder here. So CD VSIX. Perfect. Now we have a couple of PowerShell scripts here. Create CMake and create MS Build. If you're using MS Build, then we got to use this one. If you're using create CMake, then we're going to use this one. So we're going to use create CMake here, PS1. And then what we basically need to do is you could actually find out about this information if you go to DirectXTK, the DirectX Tool Kit, right? Well, in fact, DirectXTK 12. In fact, let's go here. Let's go to the wiki, right? And then getting started. And then let's see. How do you, where is it? I'm trying, yeah, there we go. Okay, so using device resources here, tutorial, and this is where I got the information. So if you go down here, you can find how to make a CMake project. As you can see, you first of all select a template, then you call it something, and you put it somewhere, like you call something, then you put it somewhere essentially. So let's go ahead and do that. Well, in our case, since we're going to be using Vcpkg, Control F Vcpkg, and this is our basically our choices, either a D3D11 or D3D12 Vcpkg. So we're going to go with D3D12 Vcpkg here, and we're going to basically say D3D12, and then I'm going to call this Kodotaku, for example. Well, actually, let's say Kodotaku, and then we have to put it somewhere. I'm going to put it in my D drive. Whoops. So as you can see, cannot be loaded because running scripts is disabled on this system. So how are we gonna like make this work? And we do that by setting the execution policy. So set execution policy to remote signed, and then scope only to process, so only this time. And then we're gonna run this, and there we go, it works perfect. Now we created a new project in Kodotaku, which is great. Now let's open up our beautiful CLion. All right, you could also use, of course, what the heck happened here? Whoops. So anyways, let's go to here, I guess. No, let's go here, settings, CMake. Well, actually, it's kind of opened it up for me automatically. I don't want that. Let's actually remove this real quick because I wanted to show you something first. I kind of realized what it did there, basically, but let me just remove this real quick. I'm gonna remove this stuff. And yeah. All right, cool. So let's just run this command again. And then, of course, Kodotaku, by the way, here you can change it to whichever you want, to your project name, essentially. Now I'm going to say open. We're going to go to disk D, Kodotaku, and select folder. And now you're going to get this beautiful thing right here. And we don't need this debug, just to remove it. And we're just going to use the CMake presets inside the project. I only need debug, though. If you want the other things, then use them. If you want to use Clang instead, for example, then use debug Clang here. Or if you want to use MinGW, there you go. But I'm just going to use this one, and we're going to enable profile. Okay. And we should be good to go. Now, of course, we're going to have a little problem here because we don't have Vcpkg. We need an environment. Well, how are we going to do this? So you could either go ahead and install Vcpkg globally, which I don't really like, honestly. I think that sucks. So what you got to actually do, the best way to do this is go to Vcpkg GitHub, right? And then just copy this. And first of all, you need to say git init to create a new GitHub repo here, or to initialize an empty Git repo. And then you can say git submodule add. Vcpkg, and you should be good to go. Now, inside of this, CMake presets, you're going to go to this base preset right here, and you're going to find that it's trying to use the environment variable vcpkg root, which we're not setting. You want to set this to your path of vcpkg if you had the vcpkg installed globally, but in our case, it's locally through a submodule. So what we're going to do, we're going to like say dot, so basically the current directory / vcpkg. And that should do the trick. And if you actually reload this, this should work now. As you can see right now, it's going ahead and first of all bootstrapping vcpkg automatically for us. So basically bootstrapping is just downloading the vcpkg binary into the vcpkg directory. And then it's going to download the other tools that it's going to need. And after that, it's going to basically, you know, grab all the dependencies for your project and set everything up for you, pretty much. Now, you could have just copied like the files from, well, where is it? You could have just copied the files from here and stuff, but no, there is some template variables inside of them. Like for example, if you go to main.cpp here, like here the app name is like $, project name $, right? So these you would have had to do it manually yourself, but using that template, that using the script, the PowerShell script that is inside of VSIX, like you actually get to change that automatically and stuff. You gotta basically do the whole thing. Now the problem in CLion is that it can't actually find cl.exe, which is basically the compiler. Now what you could probably do is just like you could do something interesting here is you could look for the developer prompt. What is it called? Hold on, developer, yeah. So developer PowerShell for VS, and then you could open that and then start CLion from here. I'm not sure if it's even possible. Let me see. Do I have CLion here? Yeah, you could run CLion from here. And hopefully that would make it so it inherits the environment variables. I never tried this one, but because there is a better solution that I found. But this is something that could work in some other programs if you ever need this, essentially. And for some reason it's not working at all. Let's see, reload. Oh, it's actually x86. It's well. Make sure this is x64. Okay, x64. As you can see, the native. As you can see, there's a lot of footguns. So if you go CLion right now, it should hopefully inherit the environment variables of that terminal, which have access to CL and like the compiler and linker and so on, as you can see here, because you don't have access to it otherwise. Now, if we reload this should in theory work. Let's see. But for whatever reason, it didn't work somehow. I'm not sure why. But generally, this is not the way to go anyways. So I'm going to show you the best way to do this. So we're going to go back to our CLion here. And you basically, in CMake presets base, so base is basically the preset that all of these others like inherit. So all of the other targets like Clang and so on targets, even ARM64, but whatever. So here what we're going to do, we're going to say vendor, and then we're going to add CLion, JetBrains CLion, and then we're going to say toolchain Visual Studio. I'm not even sure how I found out how to fix this before. I truly do not know. It was a lot of pain to get all this setup working so flawlessly. So, and here you go, you got this whole video that goes through everything for you. So there we go. All right, cool. So now it should in theory work now. If we click on run, we should get an empty window that is being cleared by DirectX 12. And there you go. So right now you're using Vcpkg, CMake CLion, everything pretty much. As you can see, Vcpkg, it's using these libraries: DirectX DXC, DirectX headers, agility, DirectX math, and WinPix event. So WinPix is actually a debugger for graphics. So Pix Windows, check out this, download Pix on Windows, and then you could just download it from here. Now once you got Pix installed, you could actually run it on this guy. So if we go to Ouch here and we go to, where is it? Ouch. Well, let me actually open this up in Explorer, x64 debug bin, and let's just Control-Shift-C to copy the path. And oh, by the way, let's change this name to our project name, actually. So let's change this to Code-Taco, for example. And here, let's change the description to Code-Taco, just to make sure we get the right thing. And so just run this, and it should do the trick. And there we go, we got our Code-Taco exe. Now let's basically copy the path to that. Control-Shift-C on Code-Taco.exe. And let's look for Pix here. And run it. And wait a bit. And there we go. Launch process. Put the executable path here. And maybe you want the working directory to be Code-Taco itself if we ever add assets. Just make sure that's the case. And yeah, well, in this case it's already a D3D12, but like if it was D3D11, then you want to use this, but in our case we don't need it, because yeah. Other than that, let's launch, and there you go. Now you have a debugger for your graphics stuff. So you could like debug a frame, oops, Alt print screen, I think, right? Well, in fact, it's already done it, yeah. So let's see now. Oh, what? That's strange. Let's try again. We could say capture at launch even, at launch. And then we could choose how much frames, and then we can launch. And it would already get us a capture. But here it should work. Alt, print screen. And there you go, I got another frame right now, great. So once I got my capture, I could just quit the application and I could actually see what's going on here. So as you can see, we don't have anything interesting here. We're just calling present, and then we have a clear. Basically, you could also make it flat, and there you go. And there's also other kind of things. If you want me to make a whole tutorial about this, please let me know. You have pipeline, tools, debug, etc. And sometimes you may need to run Pix on as administrator for some more advanced things, like for example, we could, let's see, start analysis. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about this part. So this feature requires developer mode to be enabled on the analysis device. So to actually enable developer mode, if you are at least on NVIDIA, then you can say NVIDIA control panel. And then basically come here and say desktop enable developer settings, and boom, you're in the dark side right now. So you have this new tab or like category developer. Go to manage GPU performance counters and then allow access. And how do you know OBS have crashed when I done this? Well, that wasn't expected, but anyways, so I just started re-recording again. But anyways, let's go to the next step. Let's go to the next step. So let's go back to Pix right here and let's start analysis. And yeah, after you do that, you have to basically restart Pix, and you just do that and Pix, and you could also run as administrator. Hopefully it wouldn't crash my OBS again. I should have switched it to the CPU encoder, honestly, but anyways, let's hope it would work just fine. So yeah, let's see what we got here. Next, launch, and there you go. Now let's open this up and let's just start analysis. Oh, we also need to enable another developer mode in Windows. So yeah, go ahead, enable it here too, I think, apparently, for whichever reason. And there you go, it works now. Perfect. And then you just click here to collect timing data, and then click here. This may be inaccurate because, well, I have OBS also recording and shit, so this could definitely be inaccurate. As you can see, some weird crap going on here. But anyways, so that's basically how you do it. I just want to show you how you could actually do this. There's also, of course, render doc that you could also use to debug your application. And we're just gonna say this, and then make sure to set the working directory to this. And yeah, that's essentially it. Now you just launch your application, you allow, and whoops. For some reason this doesn't actually work. I'm not sure. I've never even tried RenderDoc just yet, but it should in theory work. I'm not sure why it's not working here. But if you want me to make another tutorial, check this out, please let me know. Either way, let's go back to what we were doing. So the next thing that I want to show you is how to add DirectXTK, DirectX Tool Kit, which is very, very, very useful. So like, for example, if you want to render a mesh in DirectX 12 or 11, instead of actually going ahead and, you know, using a shader and so on and all that crap, all that boilerplate, nah. You could just use DirectX Tool Kit and they have a lot of useful things. So we're gonna look for DirectXTK 12. It depends. If you're in 11, you're just gonna look for DirectXTK, just like that. Otherwise, look for this one. Right, and there we go. So this guy, so if you go to Wiki, you could find all sorts of cool things that this provides you with. All of this cool stuff that you could use in the toolkit. Alright, so how we can add it to our project? Well, the first thing first, we need to add it as a package. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to say vcpkg directory. Well, vcpkg directory, vcpkg.exe, and then we're going to say add port DirectXTK 12. Because in fact there is basically a VC package library, and here in fact I'm going to show you how you can add a VC package library. So the library is called DirectXTK 12 in VC package. There you go. And as you can see, this is it, right? And they also even have some features that you can add, like, and here what I'm basically need to do is VC package exe, add port DirectXTK 12. If you want some other features, like for example, let's say you want this feature, then you're gonna add game input inside of this brackets right here. If you want multiple features, they're gonna say comma, and then you're gonna add Spectre too. Right? But in our case, I'm not gonna add it. I just wanted to make you know. So if you want to add another library yourself using VC package, you know how, and even you know how to actually add features. If you want me to make a tutorial about how to add, you know, MGY, even docking using VC package into this project, please let me know in the comment section. Anyways, add port DirectXTK 12, and there we go. Now we should have it done. Perfect. Now we're gonna go to the CMake list, and you're gonna go down. You're gonna find a comment here, and comment if using DirectX Toolkit, right? You're gonna uncomment this out using Control/, and there you go, done. That's for the CMake part. Now your project will go ahead and download DirectXTK toolkit and just link it and everything else. Great. Next up, we need to actually make our project work with it. So we're going to go to, first of all, to pch.h, which is our precompiled header, which contains like Win32 stuff, etc., etc. What we're going to do, we're going to go down, you're going to find a comment again. Let's see. Gonna find a, here we go. So if using the DirectX toolkit, incomment this line. So this basically adds the header graphics memory inside of this DirectX toolkit, right? That's the first thing. The second thing you gotta do is go to, well, let's see. In fact, if you go here, you could go to the to-do here, and you can find all sorts of to-dos, like comments in the project, in the template, that you can actually do. So there's some in game.cpp, as you can see, and there's some in main.cpp if you want to check them out. Like for example, let's say you want to make this full screen, then you gotta look into this to-dos in main.cpp. So main.cpp here actually creates a Win32 window, as you can see. And here, if you want to make this full screen, then you gotta change to create window exe, blah 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 blah. You got the point, right? So that's basically it. But right now we're just gonna go straight to game.h, sorry, and we're gonna incomment this guy right here to add graphics memory, of course using unique PTR. And then in game.cpp here, we're gonna go down. Well, let's look for where everywhere we're using graphics memory. Okay, so we're gonna incomment this guy right here, which basically tracks resources and so on of DirectX Toolkit. And also we're gonna create a new instance of that graphics memory. And then here we're gonna reset it. And now you should be able to use any stuff of the DirectX Toolkit from here, right? So, and yeah, that's basically all you truly need right now. You could just run this and it would go ahead, link, build, everything. So if you want me to make more tutorials about this, on how to use DirectX Toolkit and MGY, etc., please let me know. That's basically it for today's video, and see you later. Goodbye, everybody.